Happy Wednesday. We've been looking at the idea of hope, and so far I've argued that it's not wishful thinking or optimism. It is not looking at positive trend lines. It is confidence based on God and His promises. I also started to develop the idea that we need to have a little bit longer time horizon. I want to push on that today. When you study the word hope in Greek literature, not the New Testament's written in Greek, but I'm thinking about the Greek philosophers, the Romans back in that era. When you look at their understanding of hope, you'll find that what they were hoping for was a long life, a happy life, wealth, and pleasure. When you study the word hope in the context of the early church, you find that their time frame gets pushed out. Hope demands a study and some understanding of eschatology, which is eschaton, Greek word for last, so the study of last things. And I'm not talking about dating things. I'm not talking about the end of the world. I'm talking sort of about personal eschatology. I'm talking about living in light of the promises of God for a future hope, and that our hope of eternal life, eternity changes everything. Now, having this orientation is hard because we live in a world in which lots of smart and gifted people are trying to keep us focused on the moment and often being unhappy, so we'll buy their stuff so that we'll be happy. But even when it comes to the gospel, we get tied to the present. Many Christians are looking for the promises of God to immediately be equated with an easy life now. And if I'm doing the right thing, then God owes me, happiness and good health and easy parking and all these kinds of things. That actually is a whole lot more of what you get promised by the term karma in Eastern mysticism than it is the gospel. So we need to have an eternal perspective for a lot of what Jesus invites us into to make sense. We have to shine our headlights a lot farther into the future if we're going to live in light of the ways that we've been called to live. I think this is possible and it's a game changer, but it's not easy. When I was a management consultant, there was a run just before I got involved. There was a run based on some thinking by a French-Canadian consultant named Elliot Jacques. And he was a controversial guy for a variety of reasons, but one of his theories was that you needed to reorient a workforce based on people's natural time horizon. And so what he basically said is, well, he'd go in and he wouldn't let people know what he was doing, but he would do some testing to sort of figure out who was thinking about today. Okay, they would be on the front line. Who was thinking about this week? Okay, they're going to be the foreman. Who's thinking about this month? Okay, they're going to be the supervisors. Who's thinking about this quarter? Okay, they're going to be the managers. Who's thinking about this year? Okay, they're going to be senior management or the CEO. And then he would note that every 400 or 500 years you get a Winston Churchill or a Thomas Jefferson who's got this longer term horizon. Okay, so it was interesting, and in the dry world of reading management theory, it was more interesting than most of that. And Jacques was sort of a curmudgeon, and so it was interesting to read because he was shaking up companies, and a lot of the senior leaders with MBAs were ending up in much closer to the line kind of employment, which they didn't like and paid less, and so it was sort of fun to look on at some of this. And it was working, so that was also interesting. But one of the reasons that it was so controversial was because of the claim that Jacques made that you can't really change your orientation. Whatever your time horizon is that you're born with, that's sort of it. Well, no, I'm not going to go there. I am going to say that to be a person of hope, to be a person of biblical hope, God calls on us, God instructs us, God coaches us to be people that are living today in light of eternity, in light of the eternal promises of God. And that needs to shape and shift how we think and what brings us hope. We'll finish this tomorrow.